Hello, welcome to this new video. My name is Martina Vincenzi and I am the founder of the VIP Flight Attendant Academy Private Jet Coach. Today I would like to talk to you about winter operations. Winter operations are basically that list of tasks that you are required to do when you are landing and actually staying overnight or even for a few days in an extremely cold country. The contrary of the winter operations are, of course, the summer operations. The list of tasks are basically the same, and this is, in order to prevent any damages to the jet or to the stock items that you have on board the jet when you are staying in, extremely cold or extremely hot countries. So let's take an example. Let's say you are flying on Jumbo, the private jet, and you are landing somewhere extremely cold, like for example, Canada. And in Canada, they expect to have a drop of temperature for the next few days up to, minus 20 degrees, for example. So in that case, before leaving the jet, there are a few things that you have to take care about. This is a teamwork issue, okay? It's something that the entire team is involved into. However, you as a flight attendant are required to do some specific of them are actually on you. For example, disembark some food items that they can be damaged due to the extreme hot or extreme cold. So for example, olive oil will turn into solid if is left in an extremely cold environment. Water bottle, they can turn into ice, obviously, if they are left for too long in an extremely cold environment. Wine, on board the private jet, we actually do carry very expensive wine in general, and it's actually a shame to let them be ruined because of the extreme cold. So I would recommend to offload the wine as well. We usually offload also chocolate because when the chocolate is left in an extremely cold environment, the chocolate will actually ruin and turn into white. So they don't and lose a lot of the taste as well. So it doesn't really look. It looks old basically, and not so not so tasty anymore. Another very important part of items that you have to remember, that is actually very important that you remember to offload eventually, is the defibrillator. If present, the defibrillator must be removed from the jet during an overnight in an extremely cold country, because the defibrillator works thanks to a battery, a lithium battery, and the battery will actually drop. It's like when you go to the mountains for skiing, for example, and your phone just drops the battery because it's too cold outside. So it's the same concept. And of course you want to have your defibrillator working for the next flight. So it's actually a good idea to eventually offload it. And, you can just leave them by the FBO. So the ground staff, which is actually welcoming the flight at arrival, they can just store those things for you in their offices. You don't need to carry them around. You can just leave them over there. It's a task that requires you to invest a little bit of time, obviously, because you need to remove everything from the jet, pack everything inside, maybe some cool bags or some bags or whatever you have available, and then eventually give them to the ground staff. And at the next departure, you have to probably go to the jet a little bit earlier because you have to take back everything and put everything back in place. So it can be a little bit a demanding activity, but you are doing this in order to save, to save the money. So not to waste money just because there is a drop of temperature wherever you have landed into. Another very important task that you have to take into consideration to do before leaving the jet overnight in an extremely cold country is to empty the water tanks. We have some clear water tanks that allows you to wash your hands in the lavatory, for example, or to use the galley sink. Well, the water tank is better that is actually empty when you leave the jet for a few days in a cold country. and you can manage this command through the flight attendant panel. So again, it's a teamwork, okay? If I don't remember to do that, I'm sure that my pilots will remind that to me, or the other way around. And not only the water tank must be empty, also the pipes that will actually help the water to drain from the sink into to the outside or into the water tank. They also have to be emptied, because otherwise water will turn into ice and eventually break the pipes as well. So you through the flight attendant panel, you can actually command the computer to empty the water tank as well as the water pipes. We usually do that before landing. So let's say it's an operation that takes, depends on the type of the jet, but it can take on average, I would say, between 20 and 30 minutes. So we actually give this command through the flight attendant panel on top of descent, basically. So 30 minutes before landing, and we get rid of the water. Once you are on ground, so your jet doesn't have clear water anywhere anymore, not in the lavatory, not even in the galley, lavatory or lavatories. And then eventually a very good idea is to pour a little bit of spirits inside, so that the spirits will prevent extra, icing. If there is any water left, that now will be mixed with alcohol, and then eventually it won't turn into ice, or is actually more difficult that will turn into ice. I'm talking about vodka, for example. So we do carry some cheap vodka that we just use for this purpose, and we pour it inside the toilet and inside every sink of the jet. I hope that this can be helpful for the upcoming winter operations, and I wish you all a very happy landing. If there is anything that you would like to ask me, my door is open, so please do reach out, and I'll see you on the next video. Baci baci!